It's Amber, and it's day 2 of online learning. As you're, I'm sure, aware, the schools are not in class physically, and so it's online learning for kids all around the world. I thought with my expertise in social work, education, tutoring, and being a parent, that I would come on every day and just share a tip with you. Yesterday, I talked about not mirroring what everybody else was doing on social media, but mirroring what you could just do in your home and what reflects your family and yourself. And then looking at yourself as a role model, and then getting to know your kids' interests. And today I thought I would talk about the tip to do with focus, which I think I'm actually having a harder time with today doing this video than I did yesterday. So, focus really is having to decide whether you're going to focus on your week or your day or that moment. And there isn't a right or wrong on that. And so again, there's like a comparison out there where people are like, oh, my kid's going to come out of this doing this, or I'm going to come out of this doing this. And that's great. And I completely applaud those people. And you're going to have a solid plan, and that's great. Achieve it. And I'm there to support you all the way. There's some of you that maybe that's not happening for. And so maybe you just want to be like, this is what we're going to do for this week and try it. Some of you might be, this is what we're going to focus on for today and try it. Some of you, it just might be a moment and then you'll try it. We've decided in our house to do it day by day. So each day we are picking our focuses for the day, and then we're checking in a couple of times during the day with the knowledge and the understanding that if we're not on track, that it's okay and that we can just course correct and get back on track. And the really powerful thing is also that you can change your mind. So, for instance, you could maybe think that your focus for the day is going to be to, get everybody set up online and have all of that working. And then you run into a stumbling block. Today, we were doing a meeting with a tutor, and his internet connection just kept going out. So, the family and I just continued on with the meeting. When the tutor got there, we just caught him back up. And that's just what you have to know to do. Is that just kind of come back into it really calmly. We spent the last 2 weeks with our tutors, and that was the advice, I guess, is the best word to say. I just kept giving to them on repeat, which was just practice and play. And so they were all learning online tutoring and the different programs that are offered and how to do it. And it essentially was about practice and play. And so pick that focus and then practice and play with that this week and see what works for your family. And then the other piece is, it has to do with people, is checking who's on your team. You're not having to do this alone. I was talking to a family today, and their daughter's really into dance. And I was like, oh, there's so many dance places offering online dance classes for free. And they had no idea that that was a thing. Their dance school wasn't offering it or isn't offering it at this point, so they just didn't think to check that. And sometimes I think we just take things for granted, especially myself, maybe as an educator. And I'm so in that world, and I'm like, oh my goodness, of course there's something for free. We'll just, and it's not even necessary about it being for free, but at this point in time, there's something for free. But I'm generally like, oh, wait, there's definitely something online. If that's kind of the way you learn and that's the way it's best for you, there's definitely something we could find. And so this kind of brightened this mom's day and opened up hopefully a new world of PE for their daughter online while they're at home. And beyond just being PE, this is an interest. And of course, so many kids that do have extracurricular activities, it's going to be kind of difficult because they're used to getting out and they're used to being social and they're used to being busy. And so this is an opportunity to look for some resources that somebody else might not be aware of. So check who's on your team. So definitely your kids' teachers are getting a hold of you this week. That's the thought. They're going to be getting connected with you. They're part of your team. The our tutoring agency, obviously for our families, are part of the team. I'm going on live doing this to see if you have any questions. So if you need somebody that's on your team, just have questions um, or an idea that you want to run past us, feel free to reach out. We are also taking any questions through the beach radio station because I'm going to be on there with Dave, usually in the mornings. We're kind of aiming for Mondays to kind of set the week up. And then there's also the internet, as I mentioned. It's going to be a great resource. I bet you, though, if you were to post on Facebook or on your Instagram or some other social media and ask for help in something, there'd be people that would jump in there with ideas. So I don't think really that ideas um, need to be the downfall. I think sometimes it might be just the amount of choice for some people. So it's knowing that it's out there. That's the first thing. And then seeing what's out there and not being overwhelmed by choice. Because just as I mentioned, you can choose a focus, whether it's for a moment, a day, a week. I would say do the same thing for choices. Just make a choice. You can always change your mind, but it's just making that choice. So, yesterday, I think I mentioned I had my son go through some resources and he picked out the ones that worked best for him and were helpful for him to learn. So, he just chose one. And then I said, don't be stressed because if that particular resource doesn't work, we'll just find a different one. And it's okay to change your mind. Lastly, who's on your team? In this case that we're talking about is your family. So if you are tuning in because you're homeschooling your child, and then you have other children and or a partner, I kind of did this analogy with my kids. I did this pre-pandemic because in our house, at any given point, there's 6 of us, and I feel that my plate can be quite full. So I just did an analogy with a plate. And essentially, on the plate are the things that go through my mind um, on a pretty regular basis. So there is just the house being tidy. And of course, with all of us home now, that becomes more prevalent, at least to me. Floors being washed, lysoling. I don't know if lysoling is a word, but I'm making it a word. Laundry, dishes. The bathrooms are getting a lot more use since we're all home. Garbage, recycling, compost. And then, of course, there's all the things to do with food. So, food prep. What are we actually going to have that we should be food prepping? Who's going to cook it? And then with being a solopreneur, so a solo entrepreneur, I'm pretty much reception at my job. I'm accounting, I'm HR, I'm marketing, I'm sales, and I do our initial meetings. And so that's a big role for me to have, and I'm still doing it while we're home all together. And then I was joking with my son this morning. So my older son had gotten out of bed and he's like, oh, has Marley not been up yet? My youngest son. And I was like, oh, no, he's been up. And we had food 101 first thing. And then we did his schedule for the day and his focus and created his big project. And he shared with me the math resource that he had found online that he was going to use. And then I said, and then he had guidance appointment. And so my son's like, you hired a guidance counselor for your tutoring agency? And I was like, no, I'm the guidance counselor. So then, it just sort of talked about different roles that parents might feel like they're having. So they probably feel like they're principal. And then they also are um, the attendance, if there's an attendance secretary or that attendance person to make sure your child's actually attending. Then you are the guidance counselor and you are the teacher and all of those roles, right? And then their parent. And I know for myself, being that I have children, and they will say, show me a project or show me an idea that they have for a project for school. And I say to them, which hat do you want me to wear? Like, do you want me to be your parent in this case? A tutor, a teacher, because it'll really vary my answers that I give you. And in this case, I feel like we're probably all feeling that. We're wearing all these various hats as we navigate this with our kids, and that can be overwhelming. And so I shared the plate analogy because I've been talking to my kids about it for a while now. Now, given my kids at this point are ages that are at home 14 through 19. And I'm like, here's my plate, and it's completely full. And guess what? On this particular plate, it actually doesn't even have things that I love to do. It doesn't have anything to do with me as a person. It has to do with kind of the running of the household and the running of my business, and which I love. I love my household and I love my business, but it still doesn't have me on there. So unless some of these things are taken off, then I don't get me. And so here's like all the plates. And you can metaphorically do it, or you can physically just write on the different things that have to be done. And you can, here, have your plate. Take your plates for the day, take your focus. So that's just my tips for today, is really just pick a focus, whether it's you're just going to have a morning focus, you're going to have a day focus, a couple days, a week focus, and don't be comparing yourself to other people's focus. And then remember who's on your team. So reach out to your child's teacher as they're navigating this too. Reach out to us if you have some questions. Look on the internet, and then look to your family for support too, and or your friends. And then I just want to leave with what I was suggesting yesterday is a great tool, which is to find your heart, whether it's you finding your heartbeat in your chest, whether you're just finding your pulse in your wrist or in your neck, and just remembering that if your heart is still beating, then you're winning, right? So you're winning in this. And that's what's going to be most important. So if you're starting to go off the rails and your head spinning with all of the responsibilities, or just you're a feeler like me and you're reading about Italy and you're reading about Spain and other places, and it's just crushing your soul, remember just to find that heart. And we made hearts for our window, so this is like the cutouts from it. So I just wanted to say, find your heart. Like a unit, find your heart. And remember, it's just a moment. Take it moment by moment right now. Thanks very much. And don't forget, if you have any questions, we're here. So again, it's Amber Scotchburn from Tutoring and Parenting with a Twist. Thanks, guys.